Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today we're doing our setup plan review for the game Picky Pixie. This is by the designer Elizabeth Hargraves. This is somebody who happened to have made the game Wingspan rather popular. So this is a designer, a female designer, who is best known for this channel for doing the video or making the game Tussie Mussy, also by Button Shy. It's a Button Shy game, a wallet-sized game with 16 cards, 18 cards in total, including special cards. And let's see if you can work this out. What special rule am I thinking of that I am allowing this to occur? And what you're going to do is everybody is in turn order. You're going to draw a card and then say, you know, which side is it going to go, and then go yes or no. And the rule, if you want to play the standard game, I'll give you the full explanation in a second. I only showed you half the cards at this point. Is around two things required. You're going to be talking about it might have at least one pink flower, or at least 3 flowers, or at least 2 orchids, less than 2 yellow, as an example. These are just some of the examples. Now, personally, I think it should say all the examples because you could be overthinking it. It's a deduction game. In this instance, my rule was it must be exactly 2 flowers. Sorry, it must be more than 2 flowers, as you can see. Sorry, 2 yellow flowers. So the number is kicked in and also described a colour. So at least 2 flowers, and as you can see, at least 2 pink, or at least 2 pink, that kind of stuff. Now, what are there? They happen to be some orchids, some trumpets, some rose, and some daisies. And I said these are very picky pixies. These picky pixies do want some flowers. As you can see, I'm struggling with the terminology here. So let me show you how you play the game. You are going to detect who wants to start in a 2 to 5 player game. In a 4-player game, it's the same as the others, but in a 2-player game, you are basically doing a number of rounds, 4 rounds in total. So here we are talking about the various things that there are. Obviously 16 different combinations there, but many other are available as well. So let's talk about it. Let me put this in shot as well. Any questions, do let me know in the comments are best in YouTube. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. So we are having those 16 cards. And as I mentioned, we are a picky pixie if we are the person playing as a pixie. So we're shuffling all these cards up. We're going to choose someone to play the pixie initially. They're going to write down a rule. And I said on the standard rule, it's not going to be that complex. I'll talk to you about the advanced one and the expert in a second. So each round there will be a different player playing as the pixie. But again, in a 2-player game, you're playing the 4-round version, but I'll come back to that again in a second. So making that flower rule, as I saw, I did make a rule earlier. You're going to draw 2 flower cards. You're going to choose to make a flower rule. At least one of them must match on the yes, one must match on the no. So let's just say I'm having a rule whereby, coming back to that example of 2 yellow, or in this case less than 2 yellow, we're saying it happens to be less than 2 colours. So if I do this over here, there are more than 2 colours. It might be an easy rule, you know, people might guess this very quickly, but that is the rule. Now, coming back to what I said about the advanced version and stuff like that, you're going to make it a bit more complicated. So you're initially going to be giving some clues. Someone going first is going to draw a card, and they are going to say, okay, I've got this card, put it somewhere. And they can see there's more than 2 colours here. So that was at least a maximum 1 colour. You see less than 2 colours, and they're going to put it over here. And what's going to happen is this card is now, in fact this works as well, going to work. And now you're seeing that that person can have a guess and say, right, are there more than 2 colours? I don't know. They might just say, are there 2 different flowers? And of course there are 2 different flowers there, so it can't be that rule. There is exactly 1 flower type here, so it can't be that rule. Who knows? But the fact is, they then have a chance to guess. Now, you might win if you actually have some cards left. So if you're able to guess it all correctly, you're going to get points depending on how many cards are left. Otherwise, you're going to go on to the next person. But this is where you're offering flowers again. So then, like I said, you're trying to guess that rule, and maybe you are going to be correct. The person who takes the card from the deck, places it below the pixie card, and basically going to track the number of guesses I mentioned, calling it to see how many of you have been using it. You're also then going to be simultaneously writing down the number on based that flower rule as well. And ultimately, you're trying to see who has guessed it all correctly to get 1 point for every 2 cards left in the deck. So any cards that are left are basically going to score you something. The pixie also scores 2 points for every guess called as well. So I talked to you about that 2-player version. What you're going to be doing is playing 4 rounds, each playing as the pixie twice, and seeing how many cards you're going to have left remaining. This is a deduction game. It's very much like the game Zendo. Check my video on the channel for that too. Very crunchy. It doesn't take too long. It's a lot smaller and compact and cheaper than Zendo. Obviously, the great table presence for Zendo. but it is something that if you're interested in deduction games, you might want to check out. I know there's some hype about this particular game. Simple card game, like I said. As always with Button Shy, check out my other Button Shy videos. I look forward to bringing you actually a playlist for that, I think, at some point. Check out my micro playlist as well, my AmassGames playlist, the Family playlist, and they have a setup play and review playlist. You're going to find this all there too. You may have noticed that I've been a bit all over the place in this video. I did find the rules a little bit like that too. Crucially, you are looking to say, right, I've made up a rule. Does this meet or not meet that rule? And like I said, the cards are going to go out in one direction or the other or both. And from that, you're helping to deduce it. I'm not very good at this particular game. I know somebody, a geneticist, and I was also studying genetics, over in Chile. We're playing this actually in Bolivia, in one of the two capitals of Bolivia, in La Paz. And we played quite a few rounds of this. And yeah, it was an enjoyable evening to spend. And there we go. This has been to Machu Picchu as well. So this is Picky Pixie, a game whereby you are placing out cards to decide whether or not a rule is true or not. And then obviously if that rule has been met, you need to show on your phone or wherever you made a note about it where that rule is correct, to then of course aim to score some points based on any cards remaining. There you have it. That has been Picky Pixie. Any questions, do let me know in the comments best on YouTube. Like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And of course check out the comments are best in YouTube because this does get shared, so please do share and thumb and hit that like button. Head through as well to Instagram and Facebook, more photos over there too, as well as heading through. I mean, this was even loaded up on, I think it was April Fool's Day, to do with playing in La Paz, and then heading over to Bolivian salt flats to show you how small these games are compared to my size, my body, because over there you lose perspective, so things look a lot smaller or bigger in comparison to other things. Lastly, also there's a podcast. I've been talking about this over there as well. Also head through to TikTok, X, etc. Picky Pixie, for now, back to the table.